Чешка е една од новите земји членки која според сите економски параметри е поблиска до старата, богата Европа, отколку до проблематичните во клубот на 28-те држави во Унијата. Која е тајната на успехот на оваа 10-милионска централноевропска држава без излез на море, откриваме во овој EU Карван. На почетокот еве само дел од највпечатливите податоци кои ја прават сјајна сликата за чешката економија. Во 2015-та економијата на Чешка порасна за 4,2%, што ја прави најбрзо растечка економија во Европската Унија. Невработеноста е 6,7%, јавниот долг 43,5% од бруто домашниот производ, а извозот изнесува неверојатни 147 милиарди долари. Чешката економија најмногу се потпира на индустријата, а тука главен збор има, се разбира, Шкода, гордоста на Чешка.
Разговор со господинот Мартин Кучера, заменик министер за труд и социјална политика, одговорен за EU фондовите. Mr. Kuchera, welcome to EU Caravan to the new member states.
Thank you. Welcome.
Czech Republic is among the EU countries with the lowest unemployment rate. How do you manage to create such a picture?
Yes, that's correct, and we are happy that we have one of the lowest unemployment rate within European Union countries. We are happy that we are using European social funds as a main source for the supporting all activities which are focused on the labor market, and that's why we can really make many, let's say, activities and investments going to the labor market, and it really helps us and supports our labor market situation.
Can you give us some details about specific projects from the previous program? How did you spend this big amount of money?
Yes, correct. The majority of the amount is focused definitely on the labor market. We have a labor office within the Czech Republic which strongly cooperate with our ministry and has been running hundreds of the projects within the active policy of employment. So which means that we've been running 100 projects which are focused on the labor market, which are focused on specific groups, and within those intervention we are able to cover more than 2.1 million of people within our population. So if I count all projects within all period, our operation program is closely to 5,500 projects which are really integrating to those activities.
Do you consider that you use the European Union money with success?
Definitely. I think it's a great benefit for the Czech Republic, and there is no doubt that our membership has been, let's say, benefiting from European Union.
The EU social funds are helping with investments in education and lifelong learning. Can you tell us more specific details in this field?
Yes. If you look at the number of people which are outside the labor market, we are now in situation that we have approximately 400,000 people outside the labor market. 3/4 of those people are people long-term unemployed, and the program should be focused mainly on those group. Within old program period, we were focused with our program on vulnerable groups of people with very low, let's say, ability to be part of the labor market. I'm talking about specific groups like women, like people with physical or psychical handicap, like people with long-term unemployed, like the oldest people over 50 years. We are focusing on young people less than 25 years, and those specific groups which are not, let's say, on the optimal level of employments are targeting within our program.
You mentioned number of about 40,000 people. Do you know, with all this support of all this kind of program, how many of them managed to find a better job or to find a job?
Yes, we have within all program period we have outcomes that more than 57,000 people found the new job thanks to our integration and money contribution. So which means that we, let's say, in the numbers, we supported more than 2.1, let's say, million of people within the Czech populations, and we helped to 57,000 people to find a new job with all program period. This means that not only those people are, let's say, main contributors. Our program is focusing only on, let's say, educational activities. So within the educational program, we are targeting to the specific companies to help people for the adaptation for the markets and for the, let's say, fair conditions within the, let's say, work conditions.
In which field was spent the biggest part of the amount of 2.1 billion euros from the previous program?
Approximately 61% of the allocation is focused on the activities to the labor market. 22% of the program allocation is going to social integration and social services, and the rest is focused on the state or public sector and specific technical support within the program.
What are the key projects to increase the employment in the other region of Czech Republic?
If you look at the, let's say, program setup, it's clear that not all regions within the Czech Republic are on the same level. Prague is really top of the top, and Prague has a special conditions within the European social funds. Our main focus is financial intervention within another regions when we have much higher unemployment rates and we have a, let's say, much worse social situation. We are talking mainly about the area of the north of Moravia, mainly Ostrava region, and north of the Bohemia, mainly Ústí region. Those regions are really specific. We have very high unemployment rates there. We have, let's say, many problems within the infrastructure. There are some social ghettos and fully crowded by the people without, let's say, knowledge on the labor market. So the program is mainly focused on those two areas, and we are spending the majority of those money to these specific groups.
What can you say about the following period, 2014 program, 2020? What are your
2014?
Yes, 2014, 2020. What are the goals in this program that you plan to realize?
Yeah. Our main goal is 75% of employment rates within the Czech Republic. So this is the main target we have. So the operational program is focused on this number, and because we have around 50% of employment rate within some specific groups of population. As I mentioned, we are talking about vulnerable groups of people like women, the elderly, the young people, people with, let's say, long unemployment. So now program is mainly focused on this specific groups. Adaptation and the fair conditions is also very important for us. The program has been, let's say, doing a lot also for, I would say, efficient public sector activities. So we are dealing with our colleagues and ministries and non-government organizations how to be more efficient within the, let's say, state and government environments.
Did the EU membership increase the salaries in Czech Republic?
Yes, definitely. If you look at the GDP number now, we've been running a very successful period because our GDP is more than 4%. So definitely those, let's say, activities and the local economic has been doing a lot. The average salary is over 25,000 Czech crowns, which is closely 1,000 approximately dollar a month, and it's much better than it was in the previous period. So you can see that Czech Republic has been benefiting from the economic situation and also from the support of the European Union, because we are those special structural and investment funds. We can do a lot and we can support our economy.
Can the living standard and life quality be compared with those of the other European Union country?
Well, that's very good. If you look at the, let's say, some comparison, you can see that Czech Republic is approximately at 80% of the average of European Union if you look at the standard of living. But we've been doing a lot to catch the other countries. My personal opinion is that we have great chance how to catch up, let's say, the average ratio. Yeah.
Čeh Bio je konzorcijum od okolo 30 mali i srednji češki компании кои се здружиле за полесен пристап до европските фондови, но и за да им се слуша повеќе гласот кога лобираат кај надлежните кои го креираат деловниот амбиент во земјава. Во бизнисот е важно да си голем за да можеш да тропнеш на маса, а на малите и средните им преостанува да се здружат за да се слуша и нивниот глас.
Mr. Bejant, Czech Bio is the biggest platform for biotechnological companies in Czech Republic. What is your mission?
Yeah, the mission is to provide a platform for communication and collaboration in between biotech companies, universities, and the mission of the company is this is research, applied research, and commercialization of scientific outputs, and then it's the very important role is as well communication with the European Union platforms similar, and as well lobbying. It means the representation of interests of small and medium companies in biotech.
Can you explain the structure of the consortium?
It has about 30 members. 5 of them are universities. There are 10 large companies. Some of them are international, global companies, and the rest are SMEs, small and medium companies.
Are the companies successful in using the funds from the European program Horizon 2020?
Yes, they use it. I have said among our members it was about 10 programs, 10 proposals, and some of them are very sure successful, yes.
What is your opinion about the industry and economy in Czech Republic before the country became a member state and now?
Naturally, a lot has changed, but to tell the truth, traditionally the Czech Republic had a good position, good starting, I would say, starting position, very good. Coming from the history from 100 years ago, it's important. But a lot has changed. Actually, the level of the HDP per capita of the Czech Republic is in quite good position in European Union.
What can you say about the labor market? Is it flexible enough and appropriate for the European market?
As far as Czechs are concerned, there is a problem because the Czechs are used, and German are similar. They are used to build their home, and they are not willing to move, to change, because of employment in general. In United States, it's completely different. People are flexible to take part in any project on the other end of the United States. In Europe, it's not so. The flexibility is rather low. But this is a tradition of the Czechs. They say, my home is my castle, you know, and I'll stay there.
Индустриското производство во Чешка е со долга традиција. Во австро-унгарскиот период државата се користи како индустријска база за целата империја. Во времето пред распадот на австро-унгарското царство, речиси 70% од индустриското производство на монархијата било концентрирано во чешките земји. Во времето на Чешкословачка, земјата се вбројува во индустриските лидери во светот. Во денешно време, клучниот сектор на чешката економија е индустријата, која генерира речиси 1/3 од вкупното производство, а стапката на раст на индустриското производство е 4%. Над 40% од сите економски активни граѓани работат во индустријскиот сектор. Главните столбови на чешката индустрија се инженерството, рударството, хемиската индустрија, производството на храна, енергетиката и градежништвото. Како показатели ќе споменам неколку сегменти. Индустријата за преработка на храна. Меѓу најважните сегменти во овој сектор е производството на пиво. Секоја година повеќе од 2 милиони хектолитри пиво се извезуваат од Чешката република ширум светот. Хемиската индустрија пак, таа е показател за економското ниво на земјата, каде што се бараат добро квалификувани човечки ресурси, соодветни суровини како вода и извори на енергија. Од друга страна, производството во хемиската индустрија значи значителен товар на животната средина, но чесити на тоа мислат. Како пример, суровата нафта се обработува во областите во близина на линијата на снабдување. Полека, но сигурно стигнуваме до исклучително важното за чешката економија – машинското инженерство, односно лидерот, автомобилската индустрија и незаобиколната Шкода. Произведува од кола до локомотива, преку трамвај. 54,2% од извозот на чешки производи е до автомобилската индустрија. Во неа се вработени над 150.000 луѓе. Од 2001 до 2012 година, близу 10 милиони возила биле произведени во Чешка. Од друга страна пак, во изминатите 5 години, инвеститорите создале над 10.000 нови работни места и инвестирале повеќе од 1,4 милиарди евра во чешката автомобилска индустрија. И пред крај, зошто Чешка се вбројува во автомобилските лидери во светот? Произведува 107,5 возила на 1000 лица. Со ваков податок, воопшто не е чудно што во 2015-та економијата на Република Чешка се зголеми за 4,2%, а тоа е најбрзо растечка економија во Европската Унија.
Разговор со господинот Петар Очко, директор на одсекот за финансиска поддршка во Министерството за трговија и индустрија на Чешка. Mr. Очко, welcome to the EU caravan through the new member states.
Good morning.
Tell us at the beginning, please, how does Czech economy profits from the membership?
Yeah, I think that the Czech economy profits really a lot of membership in the European Union. There are several ways how we prosper thanks to that. I think very important is, of course, free movement of goods, free movement of people, free movement of services. It helps really a lot. I think I would say these aspects are probably the most important. Then, of course, we profit thanks to cohesion policy, that is the European EU funds, and we are able to support many areas that were lagging behind or they needed investment thanks to cohesion policy. Very important is area of infrastructure, definitely. I think supporting highways or like fast train corridors is very important. It's also important for business, and because Czech Republic is in the middle of Europe, so we are like a transit country, but we will be only transit country and will have benefits of that if we have good infrastructure. So it's very important for us. But if I look at it from the point of view of Minister of Industry and Trade, I think very important is that the European Union helps us to support innovation, research and development, support of competitiveness of Czech entrepreneurs, their global ambitions and internationalization of their businesses. So I think it's very important for us. And this support through cohesion policy moved the country very high in the ranking of EU countries.
Approach to the big amount of money and huge market. I'm speaking about EU funds and common economic market. How does Czech Republic use this opportunity?
Definitely, access to the common market is very important for the Czech economy. Most of the Czech companies export in some way, and thanks to EU funds, they can become more competitive. So most of export of the Czech Republic goes to Germany, and it's a very competitive market. So to be successful there, you have to have very innovative production, and thanks to our programs, our entrepreneurs become more innovative, and they chance to be successful in Germany, but also some other countries of EU becomes higher. So. Definitely for the Czech Republic, that is small, open economy, export is absolutely crucial. So for us, joining the EU was a big step and really helped the economy because we have very easy access to all the markets within the EU if we have competitive products, and competitive products we have also thanks to the support for the innovation.
Germany is your biggest trade partner. Does the Czech products reach all European standards of quality?
I would say definitely. Czech Republic is traditionally traditional industrial country with a very long tradition of precise engineering. Also we have a very long tradition like in optics and some other precise areas of industry. And many of German manufacturers have their production sites, including very often the R&D division in the Czech Republic. Definitely we can speak about automotive industry and so on. And many of the German products actually have many parts from the Czech Republic. So if you buy German products, especially the industrial ones like engineering machines or automotive products, you can find many Czech products. So I think definitely we meet German standards of quality.
How do you manage to attract foreign investors? What is the recipe?
Actually, the recipe for attracting foreign investors, it's always some magic and combination of many factors. Of course, one factor is location in the middle of Europe. It's quite good, but definitely the biggest attraction factor is skilled people, skilled labor force. So actually, there's big stress in the Czech Republic on having really educated people. Now we have a big emphasis on technical education, and it's one of the most important things to attract the investors. Then we are trying to attract more sophisticated investments, not just manufacturing side. So for investors we want to attract, it's important that we have quite developed R&D centers and science and technology parks, and the investors can connect their production to research and development in the area they operate in. Of course, we also have some investment incentives, but usually investment incentives, it's the last motivation but important motivation for the investor. But more important is infrastructure, skilled people, and connection to R&D and innovation.
What can you say about the conditions on the labor market? Are they improved since 2004 when Czech Republic became a member?
Definitely, of course, if you enter to the European Union, it brings some standards for labor market. Actually, I think the conditions for the labor market are pretty much similar to other EU countries now. Actually, in the Czech Republic, we have one of the lowest unemployment rates in the European Union. So actually, it's very good for us that we do not have to solve many problems with unemployment. And I think standards of employment are very high. But on the other hand, we try not to over-regulate the labor market because you have to have a little bit of flexible conditions to attract the foreign investors.
What can you say about the contribution of automotive industry in Czech economy? Škoda is probably your pride.
Yes, of course, automotive industry is the most important industry in the Czech Republic. But of course, we have other sectors that are also important, but not so big. So we have three big car makers in the Czech Republic. Škoda Auto is the biggest one. Then we have Toyota, Peugeot, Citroën for the small cars, and we have also big investment of Hyundai Motors in eastern part of the Czech Republic. And these are the biggest car makers, but thanks to that also we have a very developed system of suppliers of automotive parts. And because of all the three car makers that are present here are quite innovative, then they also actually force the suppliers of parts in the automotive segment to be innovative. So thanks to that, these car suppliers in the Czech automotive industry are able to supply also to other car makers, including the premium marks. So many of Czech car parts suppliers do not supply only to the Czech car makers, but also to Germany, to Italy, and also worldwide. So it's the most important industry. We are very happy that it works in the Czech Republic. It's of course thanks to the long tradition of industry and thanks to the skilled people. It's very important.
Mr. Nachman, tell us at the beginning the short historic profile of Škoda, please.
Naše společnost je jednou z nejstarších automobilek na světě. Už před 120 lety položili základ téhle společnosti pánové Laurin a Klement. Zpočátku vyráběli bicykly a od roku 1905 i potom osobní automobily a to je těžiště naší výroby dodnes.
What has changed in the company since 1991 when Volkswagen entered into the Škoda?
V roce 1990 naše automobilka vyráběla nějakých 180 000 aut ročně v jedné modelové řadě. Škoda Favorit a začala se vyrábět i prodloužená verze Kombi. Co se změnilo s Volkswagenem, dneska vyrábíme přes 1 000 000 aut ročně, vyrábíme po celém světě a těch modelových řad je podstatně více než jedna.
Which is the oldest and which is the most expensive car that Škoda have produced?
Co se naší expozice týká, máme v naší expozici jak bicykl, tak motocykl z konce 19. století. První automobil z roku 1905 máme také a co se ceny týká, tak asi nejdražší by byla Škoda Hispano Suiza nebo Škoda 860, případně Škoda Superb, ty velké limuzíny, které se vyráběly ve 30. letech. Jedna z těch stojí tady za mnou, tenhle ten modrý vůz.
What separates Škoda from other automobile brands? What makes Škoda special?
Škodovka má dlouhou tradici a právě ta tradice, ten vztah k historii, to, že jsme se věnovali výrobě dopravních prostředků už před 120 lety, to je ta přidaná hodnota, kterou naše společnost dává.
How do you like the museum?
I think that the museum is really nice. I smell the history of the cars, and it's really nice to feel the history and see that cars. So it's beautiful for me.
It's a really nice museum. You can see here the new cars and also cars which already I saw on the roads, and also the much older cars which even my parents or grandparents wasn't living when they are made. So it's really interesting.
How do you like the exhibitions and which one was your favorite?
Exhibition. Maybe Duvan car is really nice because we can see here that in this car there was a change from Laurin and Clement to Škoda. So this car is a little bit fascinating for me.
Yes, for me the same. It's the most interesting car. It's the first time where this sign of Škoda was on the car.
And which one is your Škoda favorite model?
I would like to say that this one, but I can't drive, so maybe a new Škoda Superb. It's a really nice car.
For me, it's a new Škoda Octavia.
Thank you very much.
So, company Laurin and Clement merged with Škoda company in 1925. Why? Because they had the financial problems. People had no money to buy cars after the First World War, so they wanted to start with the massive line production. Thanks to this massive line production, the cars are much cheaper and they can produce much more cars at the same time. So they were looking for a strong company to merge, and they chose Škoda company from Pilsner town. Škoda company produced that time for example, omnibuses, huge vehicles, railways, such things. Why we have been using the name Škoda? Because the founder of Škoda company was called Emil Škoda, so we have been using his surname. And we also use this logo. We call it officially a winged arrow. And Emil Škoda was a big traveler, he loved traveling. And from his trip from America, he brought a picture of an American Indian, and the second logo is inspired by the American Indian. Basically, this is the Indian arrow, the Indian fenders, and the Indian eye. So since 1925 until 1929, all cars had both logos. In front, Laurin and Clement, Škoda and winged arrow. Since 1929, we have been using only Škoda logo, because Laurin and Clement sold their company to Škoda company. So motorsport has a long tradition in our company. It's organized since 1901, when Mr. Narcis Podsedníček attended first race on the motorcycle from Paris to Berlin, and he won. This is, for example, is a racing model from 1950 with maximum speed 170 kilometers per hour. They produce only 3 of them, so this is probably the only one original. So in front of us is the Škoda Superb 4000. It's from 1940. Today the most luxurious models are Superbs. But Superbs were also produced in 30s, 40s. This one is Superb 4000, the most luxurious and the biggest model of all models which were produced. This one has 2000 kilos with 8-cylinder engines, maximum speed 135 kilometers per hour, consumption about 30 liters per 100 kilometers. Definitely not for ordinary people. These Superbs were very luxurious model for government use, for example.
In former days, cars were made in these historic halls of Mlada Boleslav plant. So it's the precision third part of the exhibition. Can you explain us these models of car and their historical development?
So in front of us we can see 4 cars at different stage of restoration. So I will explain you step by step how we renovate such a historical cars in our own restoration workshop. The first one is Škoda 422 from 1931 in its original condition. So first things what we have to do before when we start to repair such a cars, we have to find out all informations about them. And we are looking for it in the technical libraries, archive files, on internet. Sometimes we have to contact the owner of the same model. Afterwards, we can disassemble the car step by step. We have to determine what is missing, what is not, what is functional, what is damaged, etc., etc. And we have to documentate it everything that later we know what's go where. First things what we have to disassemble, it's engine and gearbox. And then we have to dismount the body to the chassis, all these parts inside. We have to clean it, we have to repair it, test it. Afterwards we have to everything assemble it together and again disassemble it, because at the end we have to do the paint and the final upholster.
Кога пред 120 години Лаурин и Клемен го направиле првиот велосипед на 4 тркала, не предпоставувале дека ќе станат темел на чешката индустрија и ќе обезбедат место во историјата како основачи на една од најпродаваните автомобилски марки во светот. Во оваа епизода од ЕУ Карванот, почитувани, видовте дека освен традиција во автомобилската индустрија, Чешка има умешност, знаење и успех и во останатите економски сектори, што ја прави чешката нација моќен економски фактор не само во Европската унија. Довидување во следната епизода.